founded the firm in September 1985 with the vision of seeking truth and justice for our clients and not just winning their cases. Over the years, the team has achieved many significant milestones. We are today recognized by the Legal 500, Asia Law Profiles, and Asian Legal Business as a recommended firm in various practice areas. While we have embraced technology to make our services efficient and responsive, we continue to grow on the bedrock of meticulous preparation and hard work, for which there is really no substitute. As legal practice becomes increasingly international, we keep ourselves ahead of the curve with our relationships with lawyers from around the world. Our firm is a founding member of the League of Lawyers, a growing international network of law firms in 20 Asian and European countries.
We believe in partnering with our clients to protect and grow their business. We achieve this by holding firm to our values of integrity and justice, while giving our best to deliver effective and efficient solutions. Instead of just legal services, we focus on developing great working relationships based on understanding and respect.
The firm invests in its team and emphasizes professional development. We are keen to share our knowledge and publish our articles on our website. And we also give back with our corporate social responsibility activities. We cultivate a passion for the law and enjoy what we do. This brings out the best in us for our clients today and tomorrow.
We regularly advise foreign clients, including many Chinese investors, and have a ready appreciation for different ways of doing business. In corporate matters, we offer relevant and commercial solutions, often raising issues that clients may or may not have realized before. In negotiations, we believe in facilitating win-win outcomes.
Can you imagine that you're earning millions every month and you're totally back to zero? It was a very painful experience. My name is Edmund. I'm the Design Director and founder of SUA Interior. SUA is a term that we call it Space Utilization Analyst. I study human psychology of space that helps me to enlighten my customers of how they should manage their space well. That keeps us going for the last 31 years.
Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's online talk. My name is Hannah Patrick and I'm an associate with MWKA & Associates, and I will be your moderator for today's session. Before we start today's talk, let me introduce the firm and what we do. MWKA & Associates is a mid-sized law firm that was founded in 1985 by Dato' MWKA. Our able team today comprises 22 lawyers and a support team of 19. Dato' Ma is today a consultant with the firm following his retirement from the Court of Appeal bench in 2015. The firm continues its tradition today of working primarily with small-medium enterprises, SMEs, family businesses, and individuals. We are a full-service law firm with a corporate department, a dispute resolution department, including litigation, adjudication, and arbitration, a dedicated employment or industrial relations team, and a department focused on servicing the needs of individuals and families. Our practice group indicates some of our focus areas which are supported by talents from both our corporate and dispute resolution teams. Today's talk is part of our MWKA & Associates online talk series. By way of background, we have been organizing monthly lunch talks at our office since 2013, some of which were also broadcasted live. But with the COVID-19 MCO, CMCO, and now RMCO, We have moved online in order to continue with our objective of sharing knowledge, raising awareness, and encouraging network for clients, potential clients, and in-house counsel. This is our 20th talk in our online talk series, which has been attended by some 4,353 attendees. Today, we're expecting about 143 people who have registered. Now, before I continue, please be reminded that this talk does not constitute legal advice. In the event you require specific legal advice to your matter, please contact us for a complimentary legal consultation. Details will be given at the end of this talk. Today, we have two speakers. The first one is Ms. Christine To. Ms. Christine To is the partner in the Dispute Resolution Department in MWKA & Associates. She holds 2 degrees, a Bachelor of Business Systems from Monash University and a Bachelor of Laws from the University of London. She was called to the Malaysian Bar in 2014. Our next speaker, Mr. Edmund, boasts 37 years as an interior designer. He founded the longest-standing, proudly Malaysian independent interior design firm, SUA Interior, in 1989. He's widely recognized as a designer by international renowned organizations such as Samsung, Hong Leong Bank, and Mary Kay. Our speakers will target to complete their presentation by 3:45 and then take questions. However, it may extend to 4 p.m., so please stay with us if you can. If you have questions, please don't forget to post it up on our Slido or in the chat, and we will address them at the end of the talk. You can access the Slido page by scanning the QR code or going to the website and key in the number 61308. All right, without further ado, let me just introduce the top points for today. We will address 4 top points, the first being the key elements of a legally binding contract. Next, we will look at CIPAA and the construction consultancy contracts. These 2 will be addressed by Ms. Christine To. Edmund will then take over and speak on the common issues in design and build construction contracts. And lastly, he will end with the tips on managing a design and build contract. All right, I think that's about it. Christine, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me just share my screen. Okay, I'm going to start with the key elements of a legally binding contract. What is contract? Contract in Malaysia are governed, first of all, governed by the Contracts Act 1950. A contract is an agreement between 2 or more parties that is legally binding between them. So contract is defined in Section 2H of the Contracts Act 1950 as an agreement enforceable by law is a contract. So how is contract formed? A contract can be formed orally, by writing, by conduct, or a combination of the above. The key elements of a contract: you must have offer and acceptance, consideration, intention to create legal relations, certainty, and legal capacity. I will address each of these elements in turn. What is an offer? An offer is when someone signifies to another his intention, his willingness, to do or abstain from doing anything with a view to obtaining the assent of that other to the act or the assentee. But this is just the legal definition of what an offer is based on the Contracts Act. So in the layman term, it is something that, for example, things that we always see as an example of an offer is actually a quotation. So in your quotation, you offer to carry out this sort of work for this much of money. So this is an offer. An offer can be made again orally, in writing, or by conduct. What is important in order to amount to an offer is that it must be specific, clear, and unambiguous. So the communication of a proposal or an offer is complete when it comes to the knowledge of the person whom it is made. So, for example, preliminary negotiation, options, and display of goods, advertisement, and auctions are not offer. And also, counter offer does not, one thing that I want to address now, I'll address again later, counter offer does not amount to a contract. You are offering, let's say, for example, you issue a quotation, and then the buyer counter offer you something, say that, no, for this particular work, I want it to be 20,000 instead of 25,000 that you have offered me. So what is this? This is a counter offer. But at that juncture, when he counter offer you 20,000, it is not a contract yet because it has not been accepted yet. So that brings me to my next point. After this, sorry, I have to address termination of offer first. So when does the offer end? First, it can be the lapse of time, revocation of offer under Section 5, rejecting it, failure to fulfill a condition precedent, death or mental disorder. In fact, what I have mentioned just now, the counter proposal, is in fact a rejection. I rejected your 25,000 proposal. Now I counter offer you 20,000. Then that brings me to the next element. What is an acceptance? So this is when the person to whom the proposal is made signifies his essence, the proposal is said to be accepted. So acceptance can be oral, in writing, or by conduct. Back to the counter offer example that I have given just now. Let's say all these things is in quotation. First, they issue you a quotation in 20. You issue the seller, the buyer, a quotation for 25,000. Then the buyer counter offer 20,000 orally, and then you accepted orally. Okay lah, 20,000. I will take that. The moment you accept that 20,000 offer, that's when a contract is formed. You have an offer and you have the acceptance. So the acceptance must be communicated, of course, or signified, absolute, unqualified, and of course you have to accept it within a reasonable time. And like I said, counter offer does not amount to an acceptance. It is a rejection. Consideration. Consideration is defined under the Contracts Act as when, at the desire of the promisor, the promisee has done or abstained from doing something. Such act is called a consideration for the promise. Consideration need not be adequate as long as it has some monetary value. It can come from a third party, not necessarily must be the offeree. Back to the question, back to the example that I have given just now. So at the end, the 20,000 not necessarily has to come from the buyer. It can be from someone else. So consideration can be executory, something that you perform in the future. Task, something that you have performed before the promise. Executed, performed after the promise. So this is the general rules for consideration. Agreement without consideration is void, unless it is made on account of natural love and affection between parties, and to compensate for something that has been done, or to pay for a statute bar debt. The next element in a legally binding contract is the intention to create legal relations. Well, because it is intention and hence it is subjective. It depends on the party's state of mind at that material time. The Contracts Act is silent on this element. Principle derived from the English common law. So as a general rule, there is a presumption to be intention. There is an intention in a commercial agreement, intention to create legal relations in a commercial agreement, but not in domestic agreement. Anyway, but however, it is a rebuttable presumption. You can adduce evidence in court to show that I do not have, let's say, I do not have the intention to create a legal relation. If you want to challenge the validity of a contract. Certainty of contract. What is certainty? Certainty of contract is defined in Section 30 of the Contracts Act. Agreement, the meaning of which is not certain or capable of being made certain, are what? This is the consequences of having a contract which is not certain. So what it has to be certain is critical elements like, for example, the price, the time of performance, the language, the subject matter of the contract must be certain and complete in the contract. And the parties must have the legal capacity to enter into contract. So what is legal capacity? That is the ability to enter into a contract. All agreement is contract if there is made by free consent of the parties competent to contract. So you must be competent to contract. So every person is competent to contract who is of age of majority, sound mind, and not disqualified from contracting. And of course, the age of majority in Malaysia is 18 years old. So that's pretty the basic elements of what amounts to a contract. Now I'll move on to CIPAA and Construction Consultancy Contract. CIPAA stands for Construction Industry Payment and Adjudication Act 2012. This act came into effect on the 15th of April 2014. And the purpose of this act is to facilitate regular and timely payment by providing a mechanism for speedy dispute resolution. And adjudication under CIPAA only for dispute relating to payment for work done, services rendered, and or material supply under the contract terms. What contract applies? CIPAA applies to every construction contract made in writing. It has to be in writing, related to construction work carried out wholly or partly within the territory of Malaysia, including a construction contract entered into by the government. However, CIPAA does not apply to construction contract by a natural person for any construction work for a building which is less than 4-story high and is wholly intended for his occupation. So for renovation work, which is for a house that is less than 4-story high, and you enter into that contract with a natural person, then you cannot come under the purview of CIPAA. In the event that the house owner fails to pay you after you have carried out your work, then you will have to go to court or arbitration, depends on the contract, to resolve the matter or any payment dispute. Under CIPAA, construction contract means 1, construction work contract. Second is construction consultancy contract. So construction consultancy contract is also defined in Section 4 of CIPAA to mean that it's a contract to carry out consultancy services in relation to construction work. I will look at what is construction work, how is construction work defined under CIPAA shortly, and include planning and feasibility study, architecture work, engineering, surveying, exterior and interior decoration, landscaping, and project management services. All these services fall under what we call a construction consultancy contract. If you are involved in any of this, then you can make use of CIPAA to recover or to adjudicate any payment dispute. Construction work is defined under CIPAA, under Section 4 again. The definition given is in fact very, very wide. I do not intend to read out everything. You guys can have a look at it, or later on, if you all do need, you all want the slides, please do let us know. We will make it available to you. As you can see from the slides, the pointers, all these are under construction work. The definition is very wide. Not only those that I have just looked at, apart from this, it goes further to say that any work which is in the integral part of or to preparatory or temporary work for the work described above. So that will include site clearance, for investigation, improvement, earth moving, so on and so forth. All this was expressly spelled out in CIPAA, Section 4 of CIPAA. Even procurement for construction material, which is your supply material, supply contract, falls under construction work as well. The common type of construction consultancy contract, it can be a form of letter of award, it can be in the form of letter of acceptance, agreed PO, agreed quotation. But do bear in mind that all this has to be in writing. That is very important. The characteristic of CIPAA. First, the procedure is summary, it's informal, it is a statutory procedure, i.e. it is given to you, this right to go under CIPAA is given to you by way of statute. So you don't need to have an agreement in your contract to say that in the event of dispute, parties agree to go for adjudication. The right to go for adjudication, to adjudicate your payment dispute for construction contract, is given to you by statute. Unlike arbitration agreement, you need to have an arbitration agreement, arbitration clause in your construction contract before you can use arbitration as a dispute resolution to determine the payment dispute that you have with the contracting party. And it's of a shorter time frame. I will show you guys the timeline, how the timeline looks like under CIPAA shortly. And it provides interim and temporary solutions. And the good thing about CIPAA is also, apart from it being speedy, you can go for adjudication even when the work is still ongoing. You don't need to wait for the end of the work, then only you go for CIPAA. So this is the timeline. It starts with a payment claim. Then go on with if there is a reply from the opposing party, which is a payment response. Thereafter, you have to issue your notice of adjudication, you have your appointment of adjudicator, and then the adjudicator will negotiate the terms of appointment and of course his or her fee. Then thereafter, the adjudication process will start. The first one will be you have to put in your adjudication claim, followed by adjudication response, and finally adjudication reply. From the service of the adjudication reply onwards, the adjudicator will have 45 days to deliver his or her decision. So as you see, the time frame here we are looking at is very short and it's very certain. 10 days, 10 days, 10 days, 10 days, and 5 days. So the adjudicator can very well, after he receives or he or she receives the adjudication reply, give the decision within 10 days. So that will shorten the whole process significantly. Like I've just shared, the advantages of CIPAA, it is speedy, and then you can commence the work before when the work is still ongoing. Cheaper than litigation and arbitration, and recovery of cost of adjudication. So it is stated in CIPAA that cost follow event, which means if you win CIPAA, if you win in that CIPAA case, then cost will follow you. The losing party will have to bear all the costs inclusive of the AIAC cost, the registration cost, the cost of the cost for the appointment of the adjudicator, the adjudicator fees, and the solicitor fees as well. Based on my experience, you get like 80% of the time, you get full cost back, include the fees that you have paid to your solicitor. I have put up a link here, and you can click on it and find out how much will it cost you in terms of the adjudicator fees. There's a standard scale, there's two scale fees. One is the standard fee, one is the AIAC recommended fee schedule. So you can have a look at it. It depends, the adjudicator fees will depend on the amount in dispute. So you just have to key in your amount in dispute, and then they will auto generate how much is it to pay for the adjudicator. In terms of the adjudicator fees, is you have to pay upfront, and usually the adjudicator will direct both parties to share the cost first, half. After the determination of the matter, then the adjudicator will decide who is it to pay for the fees. And of course, solicitor fees depends on your solicitor. It depends. Usually, it will depend on how complex is the issue when we give our fees to our client. Another thing I want to point out to you is the direct payment. So if direct payment from principal under Section 30 of CIPAA. So what this provision entail is, let's say you got a CIPAA decision against the defaulting party, let's say the main contractor. Okay, you're a subcontractor, the main contractor refused to pay you, and hence you commence CIPAA, and you got a decision against the main contractor. So with that decision, you can ask for direct payment from the principal, i.e. the employer. There's a few conditions that you need to satisfy before you can go for direct payment under Section 30. Again, I have written a short article in relation to Section 30 of CIPAA. I invite all of you to have a look at it, if you're interested. And then, of course, there's another thing about CIPAA that I'm pretty sure most of you are already aware, is that CIPAA actually do away with the paid when paid clause. So before CIPAA came into force, it is very common in a construction contract to have a back-to-back clause, i.e., I will only pay you when I get paid. So this, by virtue of CIPAA, this sort of paid when paid clause has been abolished. Okay, that's all for me for the first 2 points. And now I will pass the floor down to our guest speaker, Edmund. Hi, Edmund.
Hi, Christine. Really, thank you. Thank you, MWKA and Associates, for inviting me to give this talk. And thank you, Christine, for sharing your insight about CIPAA. Let me give you a little bit general about my industry. You see, interior design industry is a professional industry. Let's put it this way. It's a professional, it's a beautiful industry. If you ask most of the interior designers, why do they want to participate to become interior designers? They always say that they want to do beautiful things. That is a simple things that they can take you to think of. Okay. Well, doing interior design, doing beautiful things, giving a nice environment for the house, or whether it's an office, whether it's whatever design that you are all interacted in, okay, it comes with a process of challenge. So if you ask me, during the 90s, our professions is not that crowded industry. I would say that averagely at those times, we are talking about probably about 200 companies. If you are talking about now, we are talking about at least, just Klang Valley alone, we are talking about almost 1 million over ID companies. That is also not including people who is doing freelancing, all right? Now, having said that, when this industry become overcrowded, a lot of importance being ignored. Our industry become very commercialized. People just want to complete the job as soon as possible. Now, the moment this industry become commercialized, no longer their passions, that is the start of the problem. Now, what is the start of the problem? Let me give you the nature of the understanding of interior designer's point of view. You see, by nature, interior designers are always good in design, but very much lacking of understanding of contract knowledge and little implementation of proper system. You see, in other words, what I'm trying to say here is that designers they are good. They got very good energy, mostly on design. Okay, when it comes to paperwork, documentation, account administrations, contractual, or it's not even their forte. So they just love to design. Okay, designers are special breed, I would say. Mostly pragmatic, yeah, very compliance per people. When they are very compliant, to say no is something very big deal to them. So pleasing customer is always number one. Yeah. Not to say whether it's right or wrong. Yes, sometimes customers always wanted to be right, but there again, because of our industry do require a process to deliver good job, designers tend to have this so-called words getting it out by saying no. So therefore, this is the start of the problem, because they are very compliant people. And due to such nature of a designer character, come with the risking of being taken advantage of and lack of self-defense. You see, having said that, when there are lack of self-defense, okay, that makes them, they are quite naive when come to the real thing of this industry, the real thing of dealing with customers, the real thing of dealing in business. So they are kind of more naive, and I would say that naive, is it good or bad? If it's a simple direct deal, yeah, which is good. Okay, some customers like naive card designers, but there again, if you are talking about really professional, naive should not be part of our practice in our professional. Okay, so that is causing more bad than being good. Point number 2 here, I would like to elaborate is that the lack of regulated leads many problems. What do I mean by lack of regulated? You see, nowadays, I realize that a lot of designers, they just have a very simple quotation binding. It's just only a couple of pieces of quotations and expect the customer to sign off without contract spells out properly as far as terms and conditions. So as simple as that. And sadly to say, it's still practicing now. You see? So this, which may not be sufficient to formalize a project, you see, because only a piece of quotations, how can you formalize a contract? You see? So the only things that upholding is the transaction of trust. So if you are having only just a transaction of trust, that is the start of the problems. You see? So contracts are not properly laid out is a very important issue. It's the start of a problem. Client towards designers, they don't have proper contract. Designers to vendors and also to contractors also do not have proper contract. All they do is the standard practice nowadays is just only purchase order. That's it. There's no clauses of penalty or whatever it is, there is none. So if, let's say, the contractor failed to deliver, or either the vendor failed to deliver the material on site, so it will create a domino effect. So the domino effect, who will be suffer? The end user and the designers. Nobody gains. Why? Things are not properly spelled out. When things are not properly spelled out, okay, contractor and vendor tends to become much more loose and give a lot of reasons of delaying work.
So therefore, this is point number 2. You can, having said that, vendor and contractors, these potential problems can develop into a big mayhem. In fact, it's happening. Problem number 3. Problem mainly arise from design and build, honestly. Okay, let me tell you, okay, Malaysia is a country that's still very new in interior designs. Okay, how many companies are still practicing consultancy and design and build? I can, basing on my estimation, is about 80%, 75% to 80% companies are practicing design and build. Now, you see, consultancy, it's quite straightforward. Okay, consultant gives service, but design and build is a company is wearing a lot of hats. So most of the problem arise from design and build services because there is no regulations body in design and build service that govern these so-called services. We are governed in terms of consultancy, but we are not governed when it comes to design and build. So having said that, if it's not, when we not governed as a design and build, okay, every company operates autonomously. That means they will conduct their own business and implement their own way, which is unstructured. Okay. So therefore, if it's unstructured, that causes a lot of problems as far as delivery of quality concerns. Point number 5, okay, a challenge for designers wear many hats. When design and build, okay, a designer needs to do design, then after that, they need to understand about technical drawings. They do also site supervisions, negotiations with contractors, customer service, ensuring design quality. You see, every of the steps to deliver a job by a designer do need skills. Having saying that, a designer to ensure from design to deliver, that takes a big process to understand how to deliver a good job. Further to that, many of our fellow interior designers providing free proposal. You see, when there is a form of free proposal is a form of unpaid labor. So it's threatened to our professions. So it's become a very norm that customers asking for free proposal. The moment you get free proposals, that is the starting of where a lot of cut costs happens. Okay, to my study that due to all these problems, the success rates to deliver good jobs is extremely low, honestly. How low is low? I can give you average on my study is that about 20% projects deliver successfully only. Whereas 30% deliver to par, 20% subpar, and 10% end up litigations. Now, if you look into this statistic, it's quite scary. Yeah, and you can see that how people perceive our professions. Our professions are not properly governed. The barrier of entry to become an interior designer is absence. Everybody can become a designer. You see, if anybody can become a designer, for me, everyone can become a designer. And this is the predicament in our industry. I'm very sad to say so. I mean, I'm still having passion. I have passion in this industry. I still can see the potential of this industry, sunshine of this industry. And I hope looking towards down. Okay, I've been 37 years in this industry, hoping looking down for the next 30 years, I can see tunnel of light and hope that this industry are well governed, and the people who are in this industry, who are practicing this industry right now, to understand and realize your action do matters right now to deliver a good reputation on how people see our profession as a professional industry and a professional and recognized. And we are not called contractor, please. I'm passionate about this industry, and I see so many things that being conducted wrongly, and I hope to see that there is room to improve for the rest of the people, especially who are in this industry, to practice. If we need to really understand about law, we need to really understand about how contract works, and because contract that really help us to understand the binding of the understanding of overall to make a project successfully and professionally the way we conduct. Thank you. So I go to the next.
And then this one is already the design and build process?
Yeah, this is the design.
Yeah,
design.
you have not talked about it yet.
Huh?
You have not talked about it yet. Just now, I think you...
Sorry?
The one that you addressed just now is about the common issues. This is the next slide.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. This is the point here. Okay. My advice is that this is the tips to go into as design and build process. The first one is that engage observe. If let's say a customer calls in to engage our services, please, every ID firms request for a proposal. Ask for a written proposal, not just on verbal. Because a lot of companies or either individuals, they call us up and then they ask for, just call for a proposal. So therefore, please having it into a black and white. That's point number one. Point number two is that after receive the request for proposal, we call it RFP at least we have document to show that, okay, there is legality that the customers want our proposal. There is at least something written. Yeah, not verbal. Because a lot of designers practice a lot of verbal. Point number two is that when we get this request of proposal, next step is that client brief and design proposal. Get the client's information and design proposal. Then after that, a letter intent bill of quantities. Now, letter intent means is understanding. Is understanding that basically, should let's say the customer want any changes at all, okay? Because with the second stage is already proposal is all in. The proposal is completely proposal with the bill of quantity and the budgets. So therefore, if the customers are interested in you, ask for letter intent. Do not go for any changes first. Most of the customers will say, okay, can you fine tune this? Can you tweak this? There is still no assurance that you're going to get jobs. Before you go for the second stage of changing, you already done your proposal, and that is the effort that you have already put it in already. So therefore, letter of intent is very important. Then let's move to confirmation of award. Now, confirmation of award is letter of what? Because letter of LOA, okay? Do request the customers to give a letter LOA by not just only signing the contract or quotations. It's not good enough, okay? Move on, confirmation of all technical drawing and mechanical material specifications, then site mobilization, project kickoff, site completion and audit, and handover. Now, handover accompanied by official documents. All this process from one to the end of handover must be all in proper documented in minute down. Because a lot of verbal practice in our industry, which is the cause of the chaotic of misunderstanding. So this is the standard process that my advice should be.
Thanks, Edmund. Hannah, okay, we will now address the question.
All right, yes, I will address the question. Please allow me to share screen, Christine.
Sure, I will stop sharing my screen.
Okay, hang on a minute. Let me just share the screen. All right. I hope everybody can see it. Okay, we have a few questions. Let me just start with the first one. A CNS consultant A was engaged by the design and build contractor. When the design and build contractor is terminated by the client, the CNS consultant is also deemed terminated. This is a three-part question, yeah, Christine? If the client wants to engage the CNS consultant A, can the D&B contractor prevent the CNS to be engaged? In short, can he take legal action against the CNS consultant if the CNS consultant accepts the appointment from the client? Christine?
Okay, first of all, I think that there's two possible contracts. Number one is the contract between consultant A with the design and build contractor. That's contract A, contract C. Then there is a possibility that the client wants to appoint the CNS consultant directly and enter into a contract with him. So now the question is whether the contractor can sue because the CNS take up the direct appointment by the client. First of all, I think number one, it depends on the first contract, whether there is any stipulation in the contract between the CNS consultant with the design and build contractor that prohibits them from entering into the contract directly with the client. Because I don't see how you can prevent someone from entering into a separate contract, because these are all because since the first contract, the one with between consultant A and the contractor, is now terminated, so it's done and dusted, and hence I don't see why is it that the consultant can be prevented from entering into a contract with the client.
Okay, thank you, Christine.
Sure.
The next question is also a three-part question.
I see.
Under the Registration of Engineers Act, before any consultant accepts the appointment of a job, he has to check if there is another engineer already on the job, as per Regulation 31 of the Registrations of Engineers Regulation 1990. For the above case, does this regulation apply to this consultant A? I think he's referring to the consultant earlier, Christine, since he was not engaged by the client, but by the design and build contractor.
So that means I think that means that, so there is another engineer already on the job, i.e. which is Tim lah. It's the same person. It's the same person, isn't it? So Tim being on the job pursuant to his appointment by the contractor, and then him on the job, the engineer on the job again, but pursuant to the appointment by the client. But it's the same engineer. We're talking about the same engineer. So what I can see is that most of the time, right, when we have this kind of you need to check if someone is already in the job or not, on the job or not, so that you don't have two in the first two engineers in one job. But you're talking about if you're still the same person, so I don't think this regulation will apply lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Christine.
No worries.
Next question would be, when a design firm is being sued by the client due to delay in delivering a project, what are the things to prepare for opening a case in court? Christine, you again.
Okay, a case when a design company is being sued. Well, so that it comes to question of time. So you need to show that for the design firm, you need to show that, first of all, what is the cause of the delay? you need to determine what are, probably you see things like you need to go and dig out all your minutes of meeting, if there's any work program, any agreed time, or any letters in exchange to say that, look, you have not, for example, you fail to give me the site possession within the time that you're supposed to give me, and hence that's why I cannot start work, and hence that's why it was a delay. So all this, you need to first identify the event of delay, the cause of delay, and then all the document in support of all these things. It can be letters, it can be minutes of meeting, site meeting, of that sort. Any form of evidence.
Okay, thank you. Looks like the next question will also be for you, Christine. Is QS under CIPAA?
QS, I'm assuming it's a quantity surveyor. Yes, it is under, as I've just shared just now, it's defined under section 4 of CIPAA. Surveying is under CIPAA. And I have come across a case as well, a few actually, a couple, that where I represented the quantity surveyor to sue the employer for fees, and unpaid fees, unpaid QS fees.
Okay, thank you. Now, this looks like two questions, but they're actually the same. I would actually want the views from both of you, Christine and Edmund, so that you can tell us from the perspective from a lawyer and perspective of a designer. Okay, let me just read. For all the documents forming a contract in place, for example, the drawings, bill of quantities, and other terms of contract, what is the need for the letter of acceptance or letter of award? Christine first.
Sure. So they are all formed, it is the letter of acceptance or letter of award is pretty much the first thing that will, the moment you get this letter of acceptance and you sign on it, letter of award, and then the contractor sign on it, that is where you have a contract already. That's when your contract is formed. And then it was supported by all the specs, which is your drawings, your BQ, and your other terms of contract. Probably that, say for example, your standard formula. So letter of acceptance, I would think that is the first stage. You have to acquire the rights and obligations to perform that work for that much of money, and you're obliged to do it. Then followed by a detailed formalized detail of which spelled out the detailed rights and obligations of the contracting parties. That's what that's my take.
Thank you, Christine.
Everything, the drawings, the BQ, everything, and also the PAM, let's say PAM contract, all ready, and then you want to award, that's fine too.
Edmund, do you have anything to add on the importance of having a letter of acceptance or award letter despite having all the other documents in place?
I think you see, letter of acceptance, it depends on what are the content. You know, the content is very important. Yeah. You see, as far as talking about design and build in our industry, okay. The BQ of the content got to spells out very well. Okay, as far as the tally with the so-called documents of the contract. Okay, that's number one. Second is that sometimes customers do give purchase order only. Purchase order from their company binding to our BQ. Okay. The question is that good enough? Now, for me, that is a big loophole on that. Having purchase, giving a purchase order from a company with the attachment of our BQ, it does not form a contract. It just form only a quotation. There is no things spells out in detail, and this is very commonly happen right now in our industry. Okay.
Thank you, Edmund. Really insightful answer from you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I think
that's all the questions that we have, right?
Yes, that is all the questions we have for this time. Thank you so much for both of your insights, Christine and Edmund.
Thank you, Anna.
Yes, I will be sharing my screen right now to just make a few announcements. So everybody, you can also sign up for our upcoming talks. We have other talks which we have planned for the month of July. On the 3rd of July, we have something for in the HR, for the HR people, employee misconduct and domestic inquiry. On the 15th of July, we have something on Penjana, which was recently announced by our government. On tax exemptions, RGPT and stamp duty. This should interest a lot of people. And finally, on the end of July, we have something that's also been in the headlines recently on drink driving. So let's have a look. We have 2 speakers for drink driving offenses in Malaysia. So you may sign up for the talks by emailing us at seminars@mawingkwai.com. Okay, oops, sorry. Just give me a moment. Secondly, please fill our feedback form and tell us what you thought of our talk. The link to the form will be now posted in the chat. So please look out for the link in the chat for our feedback form. We will really appreciate your feedback so that we can bring you better content next time. Thirdly, follow or like our social media accounts. We will be posting links to the social media accounts for both Mawingkwai and Associates as well as SUA. The links should be up in the chat right now. Feel free to follow us. Okay. Next, complimentary consultation. You may schedule a complimentary 30-minute video consultation with our lawyers by sending a WhatsApp to this number 017-887-2702 or click the link posted in the chat box. There should be a chat box link in the chat box, linking you to the WhatsApp message or account. All right. To our guests, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have found today's session informative and useful. All right. Okay, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found the sessions useful. Bye. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.